You know, there's this hidden rulebook that secretly designs the rooms we use every single day. And today, we're going to decode one specific rule that solves one of the most common modern-day frustrations you've definitely felt. It's a little piece of electrical code that, I promise, once you know about it, you are going to start seeing it everywhere.
Okay, picture this. You're in a big conference room, you're about to give a huge presentation, and then you see it. That dreaded low battery warning pops up. You frantically look around, but the only outlets are way over on the walls, and you're stuck right in the middle of this massive table. Come on, we've all been there, right?
Well, believe it or not, there is a specific electrical rule designed to prevent exactly that nightmare scenario.
So, here's the core issue. The way we work and meet has totally changed. We bring laptops, tablets, phones, everything needs power. But a lot of our buildings, well, they were designed before this was the reality. It really creates this frustrating feeling, doesn't it? You're chained to the handful of outlets on the edge of the room while all the important work is happening right there in the middle, just out of reach.
So how do we fix this? Well, the solution is buried inside the official rulebook for all things electrical here in the United States, the National Electrical Code, or as most people call it, the NEC.
And don't think of this as some dusty old book of rules. No way. Think of the NEC as a building's safety DNA. It's literally designed to prevent fires, shocks, and all sorts of hazards. And yeah, that includes our dying laptop problem. And today, we're going to zoom in on one very specific, very relevant part of that code, Section 210.65, which deals exclusively with meeting rooms. So first things first, what does the code actually call a meeting room? Well, it has two key ingredients, seated gatherings and portable electronic equipment. Basically, it's any space that's built for people to sit down and plug their stuff in. So, a corporate boardroom? Yep, that's a meeting room. A university conference room? Absolutely. But what about a big auditorium or a classroom where it's mostly one person presenting to a huge group? That's not a meeting room under this rule. Same thing goes for a coffee shop. It's a public space, not a dedicated spot for deliberation.
And there is one more really crucial detail. This rule only applies to meeting rooms that are under 1,000 square feet. So we're really talking about your typical office conference room, not some giant convention hall.
Okay, so what does the rule actually say we have to do? It's really broken into two main parts, and we'll start with the most basic one, the walls.
The code says that every single meeting room has to have a baseline number of outlets on the walls, just like any other room in an office. This just makes sure there's general power around the perimeter. Nothing too revolutionary here. This is just, the starting point. But now, let's move to the floor, because this is where it gets really interesting and where it directly solves our dying laptop problem. So, what's the tipping point? At what size does the code finally step in and say, nope, wall outlets just aren't going to cut it anymore. You need power in the middle of the floor.
The code gets incredibly specific about this. There are two conditions, and a room has to meet both of them for this rule to kick in. First, it has to be at least 12 feet long. And second, its total area has to be over 215 square feet.
And I really want to emphasize this. It's not one or the other. You could have a long, skinny room that doesn't qualify because its total area is too small. Or you could have a nearly square room that doesn't make the cut because it's not quite 12 feet long. It has to be both. Big enough and long enough. Okay, so if a room meets those conditions, how many outlets does it need? The rule is pretty simple. You get one floor outlet for the first 215 square feet, and then you get one more for every additional 215 square feet or even just a piece of it. So a 400 square foot room would actually need two, and, critically, they have to be at least 6 feet from any wall, which pushes them right into the middle where all the tables and people actually are. So, we've gone through all these rules and numbers, but why? Why do they even exist? Well, it turns out this isn't just about making our lives more convenient. It's fundamentally about keeping us safe. And this right here is the whole ballgame. Before this rule, what did we all do? We ran messy, dangerous extension cords across the floor, creating crazy trip hazards and overloading circuits. This code forces a much, much better solution. Clean, safe, purpose-built power right where we actually need it most. At its heart, that's what Section 210.65 is all about. It's a proactive safety measure disguised as a rule about convenience. By forcing outlets to be put in the floor, the code gets rid of the need for those dangerous extension cords in the first place. Okay, so let's boil this all down. What are the key things you really need to remember from all this? Here are the big ones. This rule is for your typical office meeting rooms. All of them get wall outlets no matter what. But the bigger ones, the ones over 215 square feet and more than 12 feet long, they also need outlets in the floor. And the ultimate goal, the real reason for all this, is safety, to stop all of us from creating trip hazards with extension cords.
So, I'll leave you with this little challenge. The next time you walk into a meeting, take a second and look around. Check out the floor. If you see one of those recessed outlets near the conference table, you'll know exactly why it's there. You won't just be seeing an outlet anymore. You'll be seeing the code in action.